Welcome. Today we're digging into a really compelling source. It's a speech, and it blends these deeply personal stories with an urgent call to action. And it all centers on education and, personal responsibility. Our goal here is to pull out the core ideas, resilience, learning, how your own efforts connect to something, bigger.
Yeah, what really jumps out is how the speaker takes their own life, their own struggles, and weaves it into this universal message. It's aimed right at young people. It feels very direct, very impactful. It's clearly designed to motivate and challenge.
That call to action definitely hits home. And to really get it, we need to see where it comes from. It's built on some really personal stuff, right? Starting way back in childhood. Let's unpack the speaker's own journey a bit.
Let's do that. It starts with this pretty striking memory from Indonesia. He's a kid. His mom can't afford the American school there. So what does she do? She teaches him herself. Extra lessons.
Wow.
Yeah, Monday through Friday, starting at 4:30 a.m.
Fourth or in the morning.
That's right. Because it was the only time she had. And, apparently when he complained, she just said, "This is no picnic for me either, Buster."
No picnic for me either, Buster. That's blunt. What does that tell us? That kind of honesty right at the start?
Well, it sets the tone, doesn't it? No nonsense. It grounds everything he says later about responsibility in his own, lived reality.
Yeah.
And his mom's determination. It shows that making a commitment, it isn't always easy. And the people supporting you, they're often making huge sacrifices too. And from there, the story broadens out. He talks about being raised by a single mom. His dad left when he was 2. And she struggled sometimes, paying bills, not always having what other kids had. He's quite open about feeling lonely, like he didn't quite fit in.
Which affected him in school.
Yeah, he admits it, says he wasn't always focused, got into trouble, did things he's not proud of, as he puts it. But then he credits second chances, getting the opportunity for college, for law school. That let him pursue his dreams. And he connects it to his wife, Michelle Obama, too. Similar background, parents hadn't gone to college, not a lot of money. But they worked hard, she worked hard, and got into top schools.
Okay, so he lays out this very personal history. How does he bridge that to the listener? To someone maybe facing totally different challenges today?
That's really key. He pivots from his story to acknowledging theirs. He says, look, maybe you don't have supportive adults. Maybe your family's lost a job, not enough money. Maybe the neighborhood isn't safe. Or maybe friends are pressuring you the wrong way. He gets it. He understands that doing well in school isn't always straightforward, that life throws curveballs that make it hard to focus.
Right, he shows that empathy.
Exactly. But then, right after showing he understands, he delivers this really from message, almost a pivot. He says, okay, your circumstances, what you look like, where you're from, how much money you have, what's happening at home, none of that, he says, is an excuse.
An excuse for what specifically?
For not doing your homework, for having a bad attitude, talking back to teachers, cutting class, drodging out. He's unequivocal. There's no excuse for not trying.
Wow, no excuse for not trying. That's pretty direct. What's the underlying message there?
It's about agency, right? He's saying, yes, external factors are real, they matter, but they don't erase your internal responsibility, your choices. He puts it like this: where you are right now doesn't have to determine where you'll end up. Because he argues, in America, you write your own destiny, you make your own future.
So it's empowering in a tough love kind of way.
You could say that.
Yeah.
And then he makes it practical. Set goals for your education. Maybe it's just doing all your homework, or paying attention in class, reading every day. Or maybe it's getting involved in something after school, volunteering, standing up to bullies, even just taking better care of yourself. The crucial thing, he says, is to commit to it and really work at it.
Okay, so education is vital for your own path, but he takes it further, connecting it to something much bigger than just personal success.
He absolutely does. He asks this question, basically. Why does education matter beyond just you? And his first answer is practical. You need it for any career: doctor, teacher, police officer, nurse, architect, lawyer, military, whatever. You cannot drop out of school and just drop into a good job. That's a direct quote. You have to train for it and work for it and learn for it.
Makes sense, but then he elevates it, right?
Big time. He says, what you make of your education will decide nothing less than the future of this country.
That's a heavy statement. How does he justify that?
He connects specific skills to national challenges. The science and math you learn. That's needed to cure diseases like cancer and AIDS, find new energy sources, protect the environment, the history and social studies. That critical thinking is needed to fight poverty, homelessness, crime, discrimination, to make the country more fair and more free. And the creativity, the ingenuity you develop in all your classes, that's what builds new companies, creates jobs, boosts the economy.
So individual learning fuels national progress.
Precisely. He stresses that every single one of you is needed. Your talents, your skills, your intellect, they're needed to help us old folks solve our most difficult problems.
Hmm.
And the warning is pretty stark. If you quit on school, you're not just quitting on yourself, you're quitting on your country.
It's so easy today to see these like overnight success stories, reality TV, social media. Does he address that perception?
Oh yeah, he tackles that head on.
Mm.
He cautions against thinking you can get rich and famous without hard work, just through rapping or basketball or being a reality TV star. He says quite bluntly, chances are you're not going to be any of those things. And then the truth is, being successful is hard.
So managing expectation.
And acknowledging reality. He says, look, you won't love every subject, you won't click with every teacher, not every assignment will feel relevant right away, and crucially, you won't succeed at everything the first time you try.
And this is where he brings in failure, right? But not as something negative.
Exactly. This is fascinating. He argues that some of the most successful people in the world are the ones who've had the most failures.
Mm.
And he gives these great examples. J.K. Rowling, her first Harry Potter book, rejected 12 times.
12 times. Wow.
Right. And Michael Jordan, cut from his high school basketball team.
I remember that story.
Yeah, he lost hundreds of games, missed thousands of shots. But Jordan himself said, I have failed over and over and over again in my life, and that's why I succeed.
So failure isn't the end. It's part of the process.
It's fuel. It's information. You can't let failures define you, he says. You have to let them teach you. Show you what to do differently next time. You got into trouble. Okay, that means you need to try harder to act right. Got a bad grade? Spend more time studying. It's cause and effect, actionable. Becoming good at anything, sports, math, writing it takes hard work. Practice. Doing that problem again, reading that chapter again, writing another draft.
Okay, but doing it alone can be hard. Sometimes you need help, and asking for help can feel like weakness. How does he handle that?
He flips that idea completely.
Yeah.
He encourages listeners. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Ask for help when you need it. He even says he does it himself every day.
He admits that.
Yep. He says asking for help isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. Because it shows you have the courage to admit you don't know something. And that's how you learn. Find an adult you trust, he advises. Parent, grandparent, teacher, coach, counselor, someone to help you stay on track. It's presented as a smart strategy, not a failing.
That's a really important reframing.
It is. And then comes maybe the most powerful part, the real emotional core. He says, even when you're struggling, even when you're discouraged and you feel like other people have given up on you, don't ever give up on yourself. Because he connects it back again. When you give up on yourself, you give up on your country.
Wow, that's intense.
It really is. He ties it into this larger narrative of America. The story of America, he says, isn't about people quitting when things got tough. It's about people who kept going, who tried harder.
And he connects that perseverance directly to students, to the listeners.
Right, through history. He paints this picture. Students sitting where you sit now. 250 years ago, they waged a revolution, founded the nation. 75 years ago, overcame a depression, won a world war, fought for civil rights, put a man on the moon. And even just 20 years ago, students who founded Google, Twitter, Facebook, changing how we all communicate.
So he's creating this sense of legacy, of potential responsibility.
Exactly. It's setting the stage for the final challenge. It positions the listener within this long line of people who persevered and achieved great things.
Which brings us right to his final question for them, for you listening. It's about your own impact, isn't it?
Yes, he asks directly, what's your contribution going to be? What problems are you going to solve? What discoveries will you make? He acknowledges the support system, families, teachers, even himself, working to provide the tools, the education, fixing schools, getting books, computers. But then the responsibility shifts back. You got to do your part too. He lays out his expectations. Get serious this year. Put your best effort into everything you do. He says he expects great things from each of you. And the final plea, it's personal and collective. Don't let us down. Don't let your family down or your country down. Most of all, don't let yourself down. Make us all proud.
A powerful finish. It really drives home that the speech sees education not just as, getting grades or landing a job, but really unlocking who you are and shaping the world.
Absolutely. Looking at the bigger picture, it's a powerful case for how your individual effort, your perseverance, especially when things are tough, how that builds the strength of the whole country. It connects the micro to the macro.
So, a lot to think about there. What really stands out to you listening to this deep dive? Maybe the thought to carry forward is this. Given that core message, you write your own destiny. What's one specific thing, maybe even something small you could commit to today? Something that embodies that idea of trying your best, of not giving up on yourself.